Hello, this is Mantra from Video Gamers, and here we're showing you Seath the Scaleless, one of the later boss fights in the game, alongside the Four Kings, Nito, and the Witch of Izalith, or the Bed of Chaos as you find out. And those fights allow you to reach the final boss, but for the moment we'll just focus on Seath. What you saw me just do was break that small crystalline structure at the back of the room. Until you do so, you cannot harm Seath. It's absolutely impossible. So you'll want to make certain you do that at the very beginning, and I've never had a problem with just running around his right, running back there and smashing it, and then he'll let out sort of a roar animation afterwards, so that gives you some free time. One of the things you'll notice I'm doing here is rather than attacking him straight up, I'm actually trying to lure him out towards the center of the room a bit, because I don't want to fight him in a close quarters encounter where I don't have the ability to run away from the spikes that he'll be generating with his breath. So, yeah. Now here's an attack you really want to watch out for, what he just did there. The tail sweep is his most deadly and damaging attack. There are two variations of it, one where he lifts them up and then smashes them down, and one where he swipes them side to side. The one that swipes from side to side is by far the worst and does tons of damage, can actually one-shot you pretty much, or two-shot you while you're still stuck in the air after getting hit with the first one. And the one where he slams you down isn't quite as bad because you can actually block that on occasion. And you can see that one actually occurring right now, or at least a little bit. That's why I was running away from it in the corner. Now, those are really the only two attacks you really want to watch out for in this fight. He does shoot down those crystals with his breath, and he will fire off sort of a beam from his mouth, as you'll be seeing here in a second. You don't want to get hit with that beam. It's quite damaging. However, sometimes you don't have a choice because his tentacles will keep smashing you off to the sides, and that oftentimes will lead you getting smashed right into the beam's path. So that can be a problem. The beam itself shouldn't be enough to kill you unless you have incredibly low life, though. The spikes don't do a whole ton of damage usually, but they do have the very nasty side effect of cursing you if you're stuck in them too long. So you definitely don't want to get cursed, although if you do, there's these odd clam monsters right outside the boss room that actually drop anti-curse stuff, and you can also buy it from 2 or more vendors in the game, so it's not that much to worry about at this point in the game, except that you might have to go do a run before you do the boss fight again if you get cursed. I've never really tried just beating Seath straight up, at the front of his body, largely because I didn't want to risk getting cursed because he shoots all the crystalline spikes right there first, usually, unless he's doing the laser breath thing. So instead, I prefer just running along the sides and mashing his tentacle, and if you go, trying to avoid going too far back, except when he's doing another attack, because if you do, that usually seems to be a trigger for the tail sweep or smash attacks. That's pretty much the fight with Seath, is just avoiding getting cursed. One of the keys to that is having your shield up. I do believe that having your shield up seems to sort of reduce the speed with which the curse builds up. And there you can see me getting hit with the laser, and you can also see that little curse bar popping up on the screen and then fading away fairly quickly. Here I am using the Miracle Heal, very useful thing to have. Now, one of the things that we did not do in this video, but you can do yourself if you want to, is you can cut off Seath's tail. The only way to do so, however, is by very particularly targeting the very end of the tail that is, on his back. So the other tentacles don't work, don't drop anything. They just hit you and do lots of damage. You have to target the very end of his tail if you ever want to get anywhere. Hitting anywhere else isn't going to do anything, in my experience. And it can be quite troublesome cutting off the tail because he will also slide around, and if you don't have him out in the middle of the room, you might not even be able to get to the end of the tail because it'll be inside of a wall or whatever, and that can be really a problem. So positioning is important. Not getting murdered by the crystalline spikes or his tails is also very important because you will be triggering that the tail sweep and smash attacks quite often when you're going for the tail to cut it off. Also, after you do cut off the end of the tail, he can still smash you with it, so watch out for that. The weapon you get from cutting off the end of the tail is a fairly nifty sword. However, it only improves based off your magic stat, so it's not useful for anyone but magic users. It does have the awesome power, though, to shoot these cool energy blade things, although we can't really show you that in this boss fight. So you'll basically see me doing the same things over and over again, just running around the sides, specifically his left, although you can do it on the right too, there's no reason you wouldn't, and just mashing his tail, because you can usually get him stuck in sort of a chain of him just sort of slithering about, and you smashing his tentacle, rather, and he won't do very much, except for the occasional crystalline spike attack, which doesn't do very much anyway. Seath is very fast. If you are aiming for the tail, you won't be able to outrun him unless he's doing an attack. He'll just spin around in circles all day long, and you won't be able to get anywhere. One trick I did find for getting to the tail, however, is that if you can get yourself hooked behind one of his tentacles, he'll actually pull you along as he spins, which is kind of neat. But you don't want that to be a prelude to you getting smashed when he decides to hit you with his tentacles, actually. So, yeah, that's the Seath fight, and there's not much more to it. And you'll see him dying here. So, there you go. Good luck. That's all.